So it's been a few weeks since Rockstar released the Frontier Pursuits update, and I feel like it's finally time to give a solid review of the current state of Red Dead Online, what I expect from the future, and some of the things that really need to be improved. Now, as always with my reviews, I'm going to be going over the good, the bad, and the ugly of Red Dead Online. So at first glance, there doesn't really seem to be a lot going on other than the 3 new jobs added for the Frontier Pursuits update, but once you really get into it, there's actually a lot of little things that they have done to make the game feel a lot more like single player, and that has been their main goal, and the Frontier Pursuits update was definitely a major step forward in this direction, and there was a lot of good things added that make this feel a lot more like the single player experience, not a single player experience. Obviously, you're still going to deal with the occasional griefer and stuff like that, but it does feel a lot better when you're doing free roam, and it feels like the game is a lot more alive. Now, you would think that this would all be because of the jobs, but really, it's because of the random encounters that they have added to Red Dead Online. There is no one thing in this particular update that I would say makes it something you want to play. It's everything all together and the synergy that it has that makes the Frontier Pursuits update really good. If you just want to play one of the jobs and that's all you want to do, you're really not going to enjoy it as much as if you're trying to do a bunch of different things and just kind of live in the game. It's a much better experience when you're doing multiple different things at once and kind of creating this synergy between all 3 jobs and the random encounters and just kind of seeing the game evolve and becoming a little bit more lifelike. So I would have to say that for me, the best part of this update was the random encounters. There's some of them that definitely bring that single player feel to it. Because one of the things that was really amazing about Red Dead Redemption 2 single player was that you didn't even really have to play the story to enjoy the game, and now that is the same thing with Red Dead Online. You don't have to do the online PvP activities, you don't even have to play a job. Just freely exploring the world feels a lot more alive, albeit the animals have disappeared again. The servers seem to really die out really quickly, and then there'll be no animals and you can't move your camp, and we're going to get a little bit more into that in the future. But when it first launched, the animal spawns were working really good, and the world felt really alive, and that's one of the shining parts of this particular update. And I hope it's something that they continue to evolve in the future. It would kind of be a shame if they were just like, here's the random encounters, but that's all we're ever going to get. Because, you know, at this point in time, the West was evolving. There's so many more people coming into the area. Things are changing, and it would be really nice that maybe every couple months they add like a new random encounter or something new, 1 or 2 things that happen in the open world that really make it feel like the world is actually evolving along with you. I feel like if we're evolving our jobs and making that happen, that if the world wasn't changing as well, then it would feel off and something just wouldn't be right. So I do hope that they continue to evolve the random encounters. But let's get into the jobs here. Now we got the trader, the bounty hunter, and the collector. Now, the thing that I like about the collector is it adds to that single player feel, because one of my favorite things in single player was actually just going around and finding secrets and finding collectibles and exploring everything that the world had to offer. And the collector really helps with that, especially when tied in with the random encounters. And as I was mentioning, just one role or just one part of this update really doesn't make it like the most amazing experience. When you have all of these things kind of meshing together into a synergistic gameplay, it feels really good. So the great thing about the collector is you can do it while playing all the other jobs. And that is really the best way to do it. If you're just grinding out the collector or just grinding out the trader or just the bounty hunter, it's not going to be nearly as enjoyable of experience as, well, you're bounty hunting and you find an animal. You can kill that animal and put it on your horse, and then you might find a collectible while you're doing that. So you're kind of leveling up all 3 jobs at the same time, and I really like that they've allowed you to be able to do that. And the collector is really nice because it gives you a reason to actually explore the world again. You see a building out in the distance, and now you actually want to go to that building because there's probably going to be something there that you can make money from. And not only that, they have actually finally filled up the world with things that you can use, like tonics and food and stuff like that, and the world just feels significantly more full. They have finally decided to stop being so stingy with the world and give people a reason to actually want to be in it. Before this update, you'd go into a house and there would be nothing. It felt like there was nobody even living in this world. There was nothing for you to steal. There's nothing for you to grab or want. And it was just, you had this big open world and it was completely empty, and that has completely changed for Frontier Pursuit. So not only can you get collectibles from going into houses or going to any point of interest, but you can find useful things for your horse, for your person, and stuff like that. It'd be nice if we could find like other things, but it's definitely a really nice step in the direction that they want to go for getting this to feel a lot more like single player. So there's definitely some drawbacks to the collector. Once you grind it for like a week or 2 weeks, it definitely loses its appeal. You can make a ton of money with this job, more money than you will ever need in Red Dead Online. I mean, I've got about $10,000 worth of collectibles that I haven't even sold yet. But it definitely loses its appeal. Once you know where all the locations are, you kind of stop wanting to go to other locations because there's only a few things that are actually worth collecting. So it definitely loses appeal pretty quickly, but it is the best moneymaker in the game. One thing that I wish they would do is kind of bring some more excitement to it. Make it feel a lot more like Indiana Jones, where you have to actually, think and solve puzzles and stuff like this to acquire maybe even better items. Maybe we can find maps in free roam that don't just point to a location with a circle in it and you just run around it and find an item. Maybe it can be an actual puzzle where it's like basically like single player, where it's a picture of a tree with a hole in it and you actually have to think a little bit more. Obviously this will get repetitive over time as well, but if they're slowly reintroducing new things each week like they are with the bounty hunter, with the legendary bounty hunts, maybe we get a legendary collection that we can actually find rather than just like Madame Dazar's special items for the week. Maybe there's like a rumor running around of like some kind of artifact hidden somewhere and you have to follow clues to get to that artifact. Definitely just adds some excitement and some making people be rewarded for having a knowledge of the game and being like, yeah, I know where that location is. You go there and you get another clue, and then you have to go to another location to get another clue, and maybe things happen at each of these locations, like maybe there's a trap set up and it ends up being like a free roam encounter with Murphy Brood where they're trying to find the treasure too, or other treasure hunter NPCs are trying to trap you. There's a lot of different things that they could do with the collector, and this is my main gripe with Frontier Pursuits, is that they introduced the most basic gameplay that they possibly could for each of these roles. And they definitely wanted you to get into like the very basics of the roles, but none of the mechanics, except for the collector with the metal detector and stuff like that, none of the mechanics that they introduced in Frontier Pursuits is any different than anything else we've seen in the game. So once you lose that appeal of doing something new, technically, like with quotes, something new, it all feels exactly the same as everything else we've been doing for months. And that's one thing that Rockstar, I think, needs to change, is they need to spice up the gameplay. Rockstar's very, very known for this linear style. You go to this point, you do this thing, and that's all there is to it. You go to a point, you get an item, you go to a point, you kill people, and that's it. I think things need to change up a little bit, and they need to start thinking about some different types of gameplay. I don't know if it's even allowed in the engine, but something just to spice up the gameplay a little bit with, actually having to follow clues and stuff. They did it in single player, and then just add some other random encounter things to it, or just some interesting lore or something like that, just to spice it up just a little bit more than what we have right now. And now we have to discuss the trader role. There's a lot of things that I like about this role, and there's a lot of things that I just absolutely despise. Now, I do love that they're making you start as a startup and then slowly work your way up to eventually owning like a railroad company or a shop in Saint Denis or something like that. There's a lot of good things going for the progression of the businesses in Red Dead Online. But the way they are right now at the camp, there's a lot of issues You can't even set your camp. There's so many people that can't even get the camp to set up at all. Animals spawns are just absolutely atrocious. The only time animals are actually spawning in the game is pretty much when nobody's playing, or you get lucky to get plopped into a solo lobby. Now, these are issues that have been around since the very start of Red Dead Online in the beta, and they still have not been fixed. This is unacceptable at this point that it is still an issue, and I'm going to harp on this as long as it takes to hopefully maybe even get it fixed if that ever happens. Now, the problem is I don't even know if this is an issue that Rockstar can fix, and they refuse to even address it. And I think at the end of the day, it is an issue with the servers that they have decided to go with, whether it's they didn't pay enough, or basically they're not paying enough to make the servers as strong as they need to be to run everything properly, or the servers just cannot handle the game. That's completely a possibility. They did go with a new type of server structure with this that they haven't really used before, and either it's something that Rockstar needs to fix, or they need to get new servers, or it's just something that we're just going to have to deal with forever, and Rockstar just needs to come out and say it instead of making us hope that it's going to eventually be fixed. Because to have a trader role that revolves around hunting and only hunting right now, and you can't hunt, makes this job, in my opinion, one of the worst added, tied with Bounty Hunter, because for a while, you couldn't even level it up, get XP, or anything. Both the trader role and the bounty hunter have a ton of issues that absolutely need to be addressed, or Rockstar at least needs to make an announcement with plans to fix it, or let us know that it's just going to be broken forever. Thankfully, they did fix the bounty hunter, and we'll get into that in a moment. But aside from that, the good things about the trader role is when you can hunt and trade in items, you do make quite a bit of money. And I do like the way that it's set up to where you actually have to deliver the items to the sale and stuff like that. I do think there needs to be some things to change up the gameplay a little bit. It does basically just feel like a stranger mission. We've done stranger missions for, since the beta was released. They're not that fun, and just kind of reiterating that same gameplay in a job makes it equally not fun to play after just a few hours. I do like that you can get a ton of XP and a ton of money from doing it, but they do need to introduce new types of gameplay. And one thing that I do really think that can help out with the trader role is weekly legendary animal hunts. We've got the legendary bounties already, but it would be really nice if we can increase the income with the trader to kind of match the collector by maybe having legendary bounty hunts where you actually not only do not do it like a stranger mission where you just go to a location and just hunt down an animal in a circle. That would be absolutely terrible. They need to really introduce new gameplay styles and make you interact with the game a little bit more. So introducing like a legendary animal. They tell you basically where this animal has been sighted, and then without having a circle, you actually have to use some of the things. Maybe figure out that you have to use a legendary potent predator bait or something like that to bring the animal out in a specific habitat or something like that. Or it's been attacking camps, so you have to find like a dynamic event with a camp, and when you go up to that camp, maybe that legendary animal comes out and tries to attack it or something like that. But having legendary hunts in general for the trader, I think, would be really nice, where you just get some fancy items to be able to sell for maybe just a little bit more. And maybe it's while you're actually doing the trader delivery, you're being attacked by NPCs rather than, just actual players, I think might be interesting. You get attacked at the end, but maybe having some interesting things happen while you're actually doing the delivery, where maybe NPCs will try and ambush you, like they'll stop you on a bridge or something like that, just to add a little bit of excitement to the delivery itself. That is probably a little bit iffy, because people on one side don't want to have any risk at losing their cargo. But on the other side, I think it should be a little exciting, because people would randomly maybe try and rob you in the Wild West while you're delivering a wagon. So having that excitement from NPCs would be cool, rather than just from something like a hostile player. Would just spice up the gameplay a little bit. And I'm kind of having trouble figuring out a way to introduce new gameplay styles to the trader role. I do think it's good, but just we need to be able to hunt, especially when you get the resupply missions to hunt down an animal, and 0 animals are spawning in the game at all. So you pretty much just are forced to wait like 20 to 30 minutes and you can't get anything done. So these things absolutely need to be addressed. Oh, the bounty hunter. I have a love and hate relationship with this particular role. I wanted to love it so bad, and when I first started playing Frontier Pursuits, I was extremely disappointed. If it was just the bounty hunter role itself introduced, I probably would have stopped playing Frontier Pursuits after like the first day. But thankfully, because it's supported by the trader role and the collector and the free roam events, not the free roam events, the random encounters in the world, the bounty hunter role really kind of became my favorite because I call it the gateway into the other roles. Because while you're bounty hunting, you could collect items to make a ton of money through the collector. You could find pelts on bodies so you can actually level up your trading job. And then while you're bounty hunting, you're finding these random encounters. So it really helped kind of make the game feel more alive. And I just love that all the roles kind of tie into each other. And there's a synergy not only with the roles, but with the environment. So that is the good part of the bounty hunter. And that is, in my opinion, really the only good part about the bounty hunter. And this is unfortunate because this is the role I wanted to love the most. Now, I do enjoy the legendary bounties. I do think there's a lot of work that they need to do to make the gameplay feel a little bit more special. We're going to get into the bad stuff of the bounty hunter now. And everybody knows the first one, the black screen. This plagued the game and still does plague the game, although they did fix it a little bit. But for the first few weeks, you could not even level up the bounty hunter. You basically accepted a bounty, got teleported into a black screen, and then you would be screwed. You'd have to do the bounty or shut off the game. But if you did the bounty, you wouldn't make any money. You wouldn't get any experience. So people were stuck at under level 5 bounty hunter forever. And a lot of people stopped playing the game because of this. And it took Rockstar weeks to maybe even figure out that people just gave up playing the game because of this glitch before they finally fixed it. And now you still get teleported into a solo lobby, which honestly, I love, because the servers are so freaking bad that I almost pray when I accept a bounty that I get put in a solo lobby so the game can actually function. And this is one thing, Rockstar either needs to fix the servers or this game is just going to slowly die, not because they're working hard at trying to make the game fun to play, but because when you want to play it, it's not freaking playable. It is, I cannot say this enough, that it is so bad that when you have content that people want to play, but the game can't freaking be played. Anyways, if I say more, I'm going to get this video demonetized and nobody will be able to see it, because this is actually a very frustrating topic for me. But thankfully, at least now, when you get teleported into a solo lobby, you actually make money from the job and you can level it up. So that has improved, thankfully. But aside from that, you don't know how much money you're going to make when you accept a bounty. And I think that is the exact opposite of what you should expect from a bounty hunter. You accept a bounty because you know how much you're going to make from that bounty, and that's why you do the bounty. I don't want to accept a bounty and then have one bounty have a long timer for it, and you can make a lot of money from those. Basically, the way the bounty system works, and I have a whole video on this, is the difficulty of the bounty and the length of the bounty dictate how much money you're going to get. But you don't know that until you get into the bounty, and not even do you not know it when you get into the bounty, you don't know it until you actually capture the bounty and figure out what the timer is. If you have a short timer, you're going to make no money. If you have a long timer, you're going to make a lot of money, but you have to wait for that timer to go down. So this is a job based on being lazy and taking the absolute most amount of time to play it. Now, you don't want to wait until the 30-second timer. I did do a whole video on this. It'll be linked in the description. But long story short, you want to wait for 50% of the timer after capture to deplete and then turn in the rewards. This is the exact opposite of how bounties should work. One, you should know how much money you're going to get for accepting the bounty, and they absolutely need to put that into the game. Basically, a tier 1 bounty should get you maybe like $50, a tier 2 $75, or a tier 3 $100. That doesn't have to be the system for it, and it can be random depending on the amount of people, but at least let people know how much money they're making. You know how much money you're making with the trader, you know how much money you're making with the collector, but you have no idea what's going to happen with the bounty hunter, and that is not how a bounty hunter is meant to be. Now, the bounties themselves are hit or miss. The main issue is every single bounty feels exactly the same with slightly different scenery. They're either sitting at their camp talking about whatever, and you just kill everybody at the camp and bring in the bounty alive. Or they're sitting on the side of the road and they're like, oh, what are you looking at? And then you hog tie them and bring them in alive. It's not very exciting. It's basically just rehash stranger missions with a different name, and they even function exactly the same. And it's just very lazily executed, I think, in my opinion. No offense to Rockstar. I know they're trying their best, but it's just the same gameplay over and over and over and over and over, and we need something to spice it up a little bit, be a little bit more creative, and I know that takes a lot of time, so we're treading on the line of updates taking a lot longer, and everybody wanting content right now. And people want to love the game, and when there is new things to do, the game is really enjoyable, and people are just so positive about the game. But then we plow through the content too fast, and then we don't want to give Rockstar enough time to make the content. So it's just one of these things where the gameplay for the bounty hunter really does need to be improved. The backstories for these bounties in some cases are really cool, and it would be really nice to actually hunt down a bounty, maybe while they're committing another robbery. If you're encountering like a legendary bank robber, then you should probably maybe help catch them while they're robbing a bank or something like that, or doing something. If you have somebody that sets fires, maybe they're just out there setting fires to a random cabin and just terrorizing people. I think it would be interesting just every once in a while to change it up with something a little bit more exciting than just going to a location that's highlighted on the map and taking down a camp of people. It just needs to be a little bit more. But it's kind of hard to implement that kind of thing on a large scale too, so I do understand what they're trying to do. I do really like the legendary bounties. This past week's actually had some conversation with the legendary bounty at the location where you actually capture them, which I thought was really cool. The backstories are great. I think just the gameplay, you should be rewarded with these bounties by doing things in interesting ways. Even if they can't spice up the gameplay itself, reward the player for being creative. And that's one thing that Rockstar has just really never done. They're very linear. You go to this point and you do this, and then you bring it back to the point that we tell you to, and there is no reward for any kind of creativity or anything. And I think that's one thing that would really help the bounty hunter is maybe if you want to be stealthy and kill everybody without even being noticed, you can do that, but you can't do that in Red Dead Online right now. Basically, if you stealth kill one person, they all activate, and maybe you can stealth kill like up to like 3, but usually by that third person, everybody activates, and they're just trying to light your ass on fire. And that needs to change. You should be able to be rewarded for different types of gameplay. Maybe if you go into a bounty and you don't kill anybody, you get an extra reward. Or if you go in and stealthily assassinate everybody, you don't get basically less rewards for doing something quickly. Because the point of a bounty is to bring them back quickly, and you should get more money for doing that than taking forever. I cannot say that enough. It makes me so angry. So not only are there no rewards for doing things in an efficient manner or being a little bit creative when doing something, there's no rewards for wanting to be that bad bounty hunter. Like the woman that introduced you to being a bounty hunter. She just murders everybody and has fun doing it. If you want to play that kind of bounty hunter, you shouldn't get substantially less rewards than the bounty hunter that brings them in alive or something like that. If you have the option to bring them in dead or alive, maybe just slightly less rewards, but not drastically less rewards like we have right now. And maybe have special rewards for being like special unlocks when you're leveling up your bounty hunter. Have like a good tree and a bad tree where you can actually look different depending on how you've chosen to play the bounty hunter. Maybe you unlock through the bad tree the ability to teach your horse to kick people in the face. That would be awesome. And then you get a little XP for kicking people in the face with your horse. Or maybe you get like a more evil looking outfit with like bullet holes in it or something like that, or looking a little bit more sinister and stuff like that. And then the good bounty hunter has the ability to look better and become a lawman. And then there's this whole other level of the bounty hunter that's completely missing as well. When you turn in the bounty, maybe at some point they could try and escape, and that could become a random encounter in a town. Maybe like with the basically, when you bring in a bounty, those cells can fill up depending on whatever bounties were brought there, and maybe the gang tries to actually free them, and that could be a new random encounter that could be really exciting in the game and is completely missing. You actually don't even get to see the bounties get hung or buried or anything like that, and I think just those little extra details are going to make Red Dead Online feel even more alive. Imagine being a lawful bounty hunter and you bring in your bounty, and then an unlawful person can maybe even go in and try and free that bounty and get rewarded by it for their gang. Or then just the NPCs try and free the bounties and you make even extra money as a lawful bounty hunter, or even an unlawful one where you just want to just murder each and every one of the bounties and get rewarded for that. Or you want to turn in, like hog tie them, and you can turn them in as well. So there's a lot of different things that they can do for the bounty hunter, not only for bounty hunting, but for free roam as well. Maybe a trader is bringing a delivery into town and then a gang comes in and tries to free a bounty from that. So you can not only turn in your money, your trader stuff, and make money, but you can also be like, holy crap, maybe I want to be a bounty hunter today or help this town out and keep it safe because this is where I make money from. And it just creates this whole extra level of gameplay that could be really fun. There are so many different things that I could discuss, and I'm actually going to make separate videos for like what needs to happen for these jobs to make the gameplay loop a little bit more entertaining. And if you want that video, make sure to slap that like button so hard that I feel it on my face and I know to make this video. But there is a lot of things that can be done to make the gameplay loop a lot more entertaining. And sadly, right now, the bounty hunter is falling very far behind everything else. If you do things efficiently, you should be rewarded for it. So that way you can at least make as much money as the other jobs. I know the bounty hunter is like the gateway job where you can make not only bounty hunter money, but you can make collector money and trader money at the same time. So really, the bounty hunter is underestimated at the amount of money it can make because you're making money like in different areas while bounty hunting. But there's definitely some things that need to be improved. Now, this video is already way longer than anyone's probably going to already watch. It's way longer than I already wanted to, and there's a lot of things that still need to be discussed. But on the grand scheme of things, they have definitely made the game feel a lot more like single player. And when you're able to have a good connection, you're not getting disconnected every 5 seconds, which is a major issue with Red Dead Online, and I highly recommend to anybody that is getting disconnected all the time, look into port forwarding, both your PlayStation Network or Xbox Network and Red Dead Redemption 2. This will substantially reduce the amount of disconnects. It won't completely eliminate it, but it will help a lot. But when you're able to actually play the game without all the issues, it is undeniably enjoyable. They have substantially improved the game. There are a lot of things that I'm angry about because these things take away from the fun that you're having. All of the issues that have been around since beta, they need to be fixed, and it will make the community feel a lot better about investing their time in this game. Because when you release a major update and they come back and have the same issues that have been there for almost an entire year now, you're just turning people away over and over and over again. They don't get to experience the actual good things that have been introduced in this update. And when you are actually playing it for like a few weeks, this definitely feels really fresh and really great. The gameplay loop does get boring relatively quickly if you're playing a lot, but if you're only playing like an hour or two or even a couple hours a day, it's always going to feel really nice. There's a lot of things to do, and there's still things that I haven't experienced with the random encounters in the game. It feels a lot more like single player, and if they keep focusing on that, which has definitely been their plans, and bringing in that RP and single player aspects while also tying it in with all the online activities, I think Red Dead Online has a very, very bright future. And I love the game where it's at right now. And if they can fix these issues and maybe make the gameplay loop a little bit more creative and entertaining and more fun to do over and over and over in different ways, and be rewarded for doing them in different ways rather than just the linear go here and then come back loop, I think Red Dead Online can be one of the best online experiences. It's just got a little bit more work, kind of a lot of bit more work to do. But on the grand scheme of things, I definitely recommend playing the new update if you haven't already. You can make more money than you'll ever need, especially with the collector. Get that metal detector and just find tons of money. There's plenty of resources to make tons of money, not only on my channel, but on many others. And quite frankly, you can make a ton of money. The gold making, the premium currency in the game, still requires you to do a lot of work to get. But with all the daily challenges that we have now, it's actually really easy to make gold, but it does require, playing the game a lot. So that is kind of unfortunate, but at least it's not impossible to make the premium currency. But aside from that, if they can fix the issues with spawns and basically server stability issues and make the gameplay loop a little bit more entertaining in the next update, it's just going to keep getting better. But I do hope you all enjoyed this video. It ended up being a lot longer than I intended it to be. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.